Denita, God is not letting you off the hook that easy. And THAJ, you know Rebel cannot stay mad at you. Caesar, maybe you gonna get the recognition and the coin that you deserve after all. What's good, y'all? She gets this Erica Vane coming to you right here on Erica Vane TV with another Kingdom Business video. And in this video, we are going to do a full review and breakdown of season 1, episode number 7, titled Dear God. And just for a clear disclaimer, I am actually coming back and doing this breakdown because for whatever reason, I didn't do it at the time it was premiering. And I've already watched season 2, episodes 1 and 2. So I have a little bit of bias knowing where the story is going. A couple of things stuck out to me and going back to rewatch it. But we are going to discuss the episode nevertheless, so that I have a complete collection of reviews for season 1. And we can further have these conversations. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so like the title says, right, it's called Dear God. And while Denita Jordan is at the front of this, we get to see her actually called to task. The episode starts off with a nightmare/dream where she's holding a baby and she's trying to sing to comfort the baby that's crying heavily, and she's seemingly losing her voice while she's trying to do this. And then the world starts shaking. It's like a little earthquake, and then she's startled awake. And then the next morning she, sits down with the deacon to help him to, have him interpret her dreams as he typically does. And he reminds her, like, God is not going to allow you to continue to use your voice to glorify him when you have not been doing so. You can't be the standard representation anymore. And she's taking it like, okay, so God is punishing me. He's like, no, it's not punishing you. God's not turning his back on you, but you will be held accountable for the things that you do and do not do. And this is the thing that kind of like launches her off on this like faux redemption journey throughout this episode. And I'm calling it a faux because while she's very sincere, Denita can't be trusted. Like, she just can't be trusted, y'all. And I say that she's like at the forefront of this whole Dear God theme and conversation, but it's pretty much everybody in the episode has a prayer, has a want, has a wish for God to grant. Like, Rebel wants, Danny's killers to be, brought to justice. She done ran off to Nashville behind Zyan's ass, and then Caesar gotta go drag her back, remind her that she has obligations with this contract, and whether she says it outright or not, she's, praying for a miracle, hoping for something more. And by the end of the episode, that is reaffirmed to me after she performs with THAJ, and they had a little moment. We gonna get into that, okay? We gonna get into that because that's a big thing. Also, we get to see Calvin, who is on this very serious redemption arc. He is trying to reclaim his marriage and get him and Denita to start over and start to do the work. He wants to be honest and forthcoming. He wants to stand 10 toes down as he should have been these past 30 years and be the man that everyone expected of him and that he knew that he could be. So he's literally in this episode turning over a new leaf. And in knowing what happens in the next episode, right? So in episode 8, which I'm not going to speak too much about in this breakdown, but in knowing what is to come, it is so very clear. And shout out to the writers because they did a phenomenal job of laying the groundwork for him over and over again, asking for forgiveness, attempting to atone, attempting to put himself on a path of true redemption. And he gets like shot down at every turn, and this is no shade to the people who shoot him down, right? So he has the moment with CJ when CJ's about to fight Sasha, and she confronts him about him not being the man that he was supposed to be, or that she defended all these years, and it was all for naught. Kicking his ego and then also turning her back on him unknowingly. He actually, starts the episode off cooking breakfast for Denita, trying to get her to talk, trying to get her to understand that he's ready to recommit to them. And she's just like, it's already a little bit too little, too late. At the performance for Faith Night, he comes to her and is like, okay, like, I want to do the work. And she's like, just so you know, after the end of this, release of this album, I'm going to file for divorce. Somebody else turned their back on him. THAJ isn't even talking to him when he calls that meeting earlier on in the episode to tell about how Sasha's going to do a tell-all book or whatever. He's like, listen, I'm not even here to deal with this. I just want to bring this to the forefront because clearly we're going to have to deal with this as a family, but I have nothing to say to you personally, sir. And it's so clear how Calvin gets to the place that he's going to be in episode 8, because by the end of episode 7, it's like he has nothing or no one. Everyone has turned their back on him. Maybe rightfully so, maybe not. But as a consequence to the decisions that he's been making, regardless of the atonement and the apologies that he has, nobody has no rap for him. But I did think that in watching his attempt to atone and to be accountable, it was very beautiful. Like, he had a conversation with Denita, a few conversations in this episode, but like when he told her he's sorry for not communicating what he needed in the relationship, instead seeking the affection that he knew that she had for another person and everybody else, I sat back like, wait a damn minute now. Come on, words to power. Come on, effective communication, because that explains a lot. Like, you enter into this series 6 episodes ago and you're like, sir, you a bishop, you're powerful, like you're leading this mega church, y'all got money, why can't you keep it in your pants? Why are you so shady? Why are you this? And at the end of the day, he's still a man. He's still a man. He's still susceptible to anything that another man would be susceptible to. He still has desires and needs and longings, and not in a sexual way, but just in like the wanting to feel like they matter or he matters, to be acknowledged, to be desired in a way, not sexually, but just as a person, to feel like you actually have an impact. And it's so crazy to think about it for this particular character, because it's like, you are the bishop of this church, of this religious community. So many people look to you. Clearly, so many people are impacted by your words every single week, but it's the ones right in front of you, the ones in your immediate family, that your words seem to fall on deaf ears with, that your touch is like a little bit cold with. Like, those are the people who are not giving you what you want, regardless of how many thousands of other people are. So it's almost like you never received it at all. And I'm like, God dang, that's powerful. And it's even more powerful when you think about the moment that Caesar and Denita have at Faith Night, where she comes to him and she's like, yeah, I owe you a bunch of money. You're going to have to lift the injunction so that I can go ahead and make it, but I'm going to get you all your money back. One night from glory, or one moment from glory would have never been anything without you. There would not be no one moment from glory without you. I'm clear about that. I'm sorry. And he's just like, before she says I'm sorry, he's like, you don't even got an apology with this. You're not even being sincere. And she's like, you done did all this time for an apology? He's like, you damn straight, because I loved you. And it's so wild, because Denita, it seemed like she didn't believe that he was doing this whole time because of how deeply he loved her. And it's like, girl, this is your issue, not anybody else's, because you feel like you're not deserving of love. But it was clear this boy has loved you since he could know what love was. And the moment that she truly, genuinely apologized, he said, oh, I'm going to go ahead and drop the injunction, because he got what he needed, and it was acknowledgement. And it's like, not your high school love needing acknowledgement, becoming your arch nemesis, your nemesis. Not your husband needing acknowledgement and becoming your arch nemesis. And low-key, your children, they also need more acknowledgement, more attention, more love from you. And they gonna become your arch nemesis too. They need to get your ass on a good foot, mama. Get in line before they get you in line. No, all jokes aside, I thought that was really cool. And I can really point that out now after watching this episode a few times. And again, having a little bit of insight of where we're going moving forward. So let me know what y'all thought about that specifically. And Calvin and Caesar both needing acknowledgement specifically from Denita. And what you think about that. Like, I would love to hear and continue that dialogue. Now, let's go back to the child. Because at the top of the episode, she's cradling the child and she don't feel startled by it. Like in the dream/nightmare, she wakes up and she holds the child. She's trying to comfort the child. She's not shocked at all. And you're led to believe, before we get to see what happens in season 2. So if you ain't caught up, get your ass caught up, because I'm trying not to spoil too much, okay? But this won't be. But don't get locked into the idea that child is either THAJ or CJ. And I'm gonna just go ahead and leave it there. And I just think that the writers are so brilliant of this series to even put this here. I am a big fan of Easter egg storytelling. I swear I am. And to see this moment and to go back and re-listen to the following scene. So when she meets with Deacon and she's like, your children, he's like, your children are hurting. One of your children is hurting. And she's like, well, which one? or I think he says your children, not one of them. He says your children are hurting. And she's like, which one? I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to, and it's like, which one? You only got two. Or does she? That's low-key a spoiler. I ain't even gonna hold you. It's low-key a spoiler. I'm sorry. Get your ass over to season 2 and watch it so we can all be on the same page. But again, that's an Easter egg that they're placing in episode 7 that's going to come to fruition in season 2. So be on the lookout for that. And I think that that's definitely brilliant. Now, going to Rebel real quick, because Caesar has to come drag her ass off of tour with Zyan's raggedy behind to remind her that he does sue hoes. We don't call her a hoe, y'all, but I wanted to do it for extra flavor, okay? A little extra flavor. He do sue. And he said, go ahead and ask Denita if I was going to sue your ass, because I will. And did. You gonna owe him about 100 racks, Rebel, if you decide to quit now and go about this on your own. So bring yours back. I got you closing out Faith Night. She's all excited about it, and she gets to have a conversation when she flies back. She gets to have a conversation with Linda in the car, and she's talking about how she can't really trust Zyan, but Zyan wants her to just give him time to come up with the money to buy her out of her contract. And she's like, the only person I can bet on is me. I've been shaking my you know what on this pole. I've been paying our rent. I've been doing this all before he got this little job. And it's just like, girl, not you point out all the holes within y'all's relationship, but you still so loyal and committed to him. It's a wild thing when you can't be alone. It's a wild thing. And to be on the outside looking in, it's really crazy to see. But I get it. When you're in there and you're in the thick of it, it don't feel like you codependent. It don't feel like you are staying in partnership with somebody who drains you mentally, physically, financially, only so that you don't have to sit with yourself and your thoughts at night. But that's what it is. That's what it is, Rebel. And that's why when we get to see you interact with THAJ, even when you got a bunch of attitude and you kicking all types of whack flavor in his ear because you still pissed off at him about his family, and he's running up behind your ass midway through this episode like, girl, you got to talk to me because we ain't gonna let our friendship end like this. I said, I know that's right. I know that's right, THAJ. Girl, if you don't forget this man. But that's why it's so refreshing to see her interactions with THAJ, to know like the current relationship she's in, and then all of the baggage and complexity that comes with that. Not only tied to the poor partner that Zyan is, but also the mindset and the girl that she is within that relationship, and how much growth there could be if she allowed herself to get a little bit more uncomfortable. She allowed herself to take a risk, and she allowed herself to actually lean into love. Watching her interact with THAJ is just so refreshing, because he not only represents, he is a personification of a really solid dude, a guy who's like invested in her in more ways than just her physical appearance and what she can bring to the table in reference to a guy being able to exploit that. But like, he really values Rebel, and he sees so much in her, and he becomes a conduit for her to see more within herself. So it's really nice to see just how she discovers different things about herself in his eyes or in their conversation. I'm like, girl, I don't know. I mean, I get it. When you in the thick of it, you can't really see the forest through the trees. But I'm like, you is missing it, mama, because this is it. This is you right here. By the end of the episode, they perform together, and they perform Danny's song, and it's so beautiful. Shout out to Caesar finally getting his mind right after THAJ, dropped that song on him real quick, and he listened and was like, oh yeah, I was wrong. This is what y'all gonna do. We about to switch it up. They perform the song. It's so beautiful, and Rebel gets all wrapped up in it, and THAJ is talking his little talk. I said, talk your shit, THAJ. He talk about, I know you a gift for the world, but in my mind, you just a gift for me. And he couldn't even get all that out, because then Rebel gonna go ahead and plant that kiss on him. And I'm like, I know that's right. Y'all, not me blushing all the end of the damn episode until Zyan pops his goofy ass head up, and now I'm like, okay, do I gotta fight because you interrupting the moment, sir? Like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Don't nobody give a damn about these flowers. That's mostly these little raggedy ass carnations and little white buds. Boy, if you don't stop. And did y'all notice, like I noticed, that THAJ might be saved and sanctified, but he also about that action, and Zyan could catch it. I'm messy. This episode was really good. Like, it was really good. Rebel got something to deal with because, Zyan catches her kissing THAJ. But girl, that should have been over anyway. So go ahead and deal with what you got to deal with, and we're going to go ahead and proceed. Denita seems like she's on the up and up. She's going around and she's talking about she's living through truth now. She confronts Sasha early on in the episode and talks about she ain't scared of the truth, and you can go ahead and tell everybody you my husband's mistress because I don't care. She tells the bishop that she going to divorce his ass. She, you know, has a breakdown in the bathroom praying to God, and THAJ walks in and she apologized deeply to him. I think the only person who she really doesn't apologize to is CJ, who probably needs it the damn most. It was a cute moment though to see THAJ come in and like see his mom in such a vulnerable position, because it's probably very rare for him to ever see that. I just hate it because it, whether intended or not, because it wasn't intended to be a manipulation tactic, it's going to become one, only because like he instantly is like, what can I do, mom? I'm so sorry. It's like, sir, you didn't do anything. This is your mama reaping the benefits of all her bullshit actions. You can't do nothing to save her. You can't do nothing to help her. And the best thing that you can do is leave her to, as she say, suffer in her mess and the consequences. But you know, he loves her too much. THAJ loves so hard. I really enjoy him as a character, like truly. And I think that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it off here. I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. Let me know what you thought about the episode in the comment section down below. If this is your first time running into your good sis, give that subscribe button a little love. Press on that, right? And then turn on your bell notifications so you don't miss out on any of my Kingdom Business content, because there's a lot coming. I love this show and I'm going to be talking about it for a while, and you don't want to miss a moment of these good conversations in this content. I'm your good sis, Yolanda Talk TV with. Let's go ahead over to episode 8 and get into this season 1 finale.